Yeah, sounds great.
Great. Hi guys.
Hey, we just did a quick saxophone check. It came out great.
Oh, nice. I'm gonna ping a bunch of people.
Okay, cool. I'll do the same.
Right on. Hey guys, thanks so much for joining us tonight. We are here to go through Ricky's book of poems called Heart to Heart. He hasn't actually debuted his poems for anyone on Clubhouse yet, so this should be a great room. And alongside we have Jordan Van Hemert, who is a accomplished saxophonist. He's both of these guys are Korean American, so that's just like a nice note as we carry on, because lots of Ricky's work is kind of rooted in his own identity as a LA native, and he kind of touches on his personal experience being a Korean American. And throughout this room, Jordan is going to kind of be doing something interesting, kind of freestyling based on the poems that Ricky's going to be reading. So much of what you're going to be hearing from Jordan is super off the cuff, going based on emotion and deriving from his latest work, which is called I'm Not a Virus. It's an EP, collection of songs that he's kind of curated based on his own reflection of the last year. Ricky, I'll let you intro yourself and tell the room just a little bit about your work and what inspired you to create this book.
Thank you, Jess. Thank you, everyone, for attending. I've been writing this book and just poems in general for the last 2-3 years. It all kind of began when I decided I didn't want to work in an office anymore, so I decided to work in a kitchen. And I demanded to get minimum wage, and I just kind of lived as base as I could, just to get to the core of what this whole life is. And throughout that journey, I fell in love with books again, and I would find myself reading a lot. And one day I just started writing a few things. And this past year rather, with the pandemic, I decided to put it together as a compilation, and I just recently published. And so the book is entitled Heart to Heart. So thank you guys for joining. And thank you.
Before Ricky reads the first poem, I'll just reset the room because we had a few people join us just now. Again, Ricky's based in Tokyo and LA, and he's a multidisciplinary artist. Most recently, he's published his book Heart to Heart, as I mentioned, which is a book of poems and short stories. It's also a compendium of thoughts and observations written over the course of 2 years. Love, loss, and redemption are central themes in this self-confession. And as I mentioned, and for those who are just joining us, we have Jordan Van Hemert here, a saxophonist based in Michigan. Dr. Jordan Van Hemert is a saxophonist and composer, lauded for his skill as a modern jazz improviser. Van Hemert's music, including his new album, I'm Not a Virus, is deeply informed by his political consciousness, employing his distinctive compositional voice to address issues of race and social justice. So welcome, guys, and again, we're so happy to hear from both of you tonight. And Ricky, I'll give you the floor to set us off with your first poem.
Thank you. This first poem is entitled The Vision. When a man loves a woman, He sees his life with her in all streams of a lifespan. He sees her walking down the aisle, eyes prancing, giddy smiles, nervous tears. He sees her meeting him across the street, hands waving, happy gazing, a tiny shout. He sees her nursing a child and speaking to her, low tone, holding hands, gentle prodding. When a man loves a woman, he sees his life. He sees.
Thank you, Jordan. Yeah, it's my first time hearing live music through this app, and I just want to thank you for offering this up because it's so moving to hear through this, just like this platform. I think it's a great way to fuse both like the spoken word and your music. I want to just like remind the audience that we are going to be taking questions in an open forum at the end of the set. But for now, I just wanted to revisit Ricky's poem and ask you just a few questions about it. So like for me, when you were reading that, I really like started to envision what your parents' relationship was like and sort of the dynamic that you watched growing up. I think some of what you were saying within that poem, it feels a little bit like very introspective in terms of the relationships that you witnessed and also the relationship that you desire to cultivate. So I'm curious what your experience or what inspired you to write this.
My parents had a terrible relationship, so definitely it wasn't based on fam. I think it was really based on a fantasy, and I guess my own personal experiences of just my own relationships. But these visions or these, in particular, like when you court someone and then you end up going serious and then you end up married and you end up having a child, like these are natural rhythms in life, and oftentimes they are very optimistic, but as we all know, it is a struggle. And so, I just wanted to write this about, sometimes like, what we live for is really based on what you love, and having someone that has your back allows you to live in this world a little bit easier. And so that's why I wrote this.
Thanks, Ricky. I will let you transition into the second poem, which I believe is The Gods.
The Gods. Go farther, go beyond. Be the rhythm, be the song. Enjoy the valley, Enjoy the peak. Forget the past, the future you seek. Cherish the present. Be alive and wary. Everyone will pass, and all will be merry. Open the heart. Open the mind. Be one. Be many. And always be kind.
Thank you, Jordan. For those of you who are just joining us, we are here with Ricky Kim and Jordan Van Hemert. Ricky is taking us through a journey of some of his poems and short stories from his first published book, Heart to Heart. We're just going through a series of poems that Ricky's hand-selected, and at the end, we're going to open the floor for discussions. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to raise your hands, and I will start letting people up once Ricky's finished his set. That's going to take us to the next poem, which is The Other.
The other. Who she was isn't there. Who she is someone new. What she meant is no longer. What she means is strange fiction. When she loved was something to cherish. When she changed is something to perish. Where she lived is a memory of time. Where she goes is of no consequence. Why she did it is the enigma. Why she does it is for her and her only. How she entered is a story of caution. How she left is a story of the other.
Thank you, Jordan. I actually want to, okay, before I actually get to Jordan, I do want to tell the people that just joined us. Again, we're here with Ricky Kim, a LA native and previously Tokyo based, but he is a multidisciplinary artist. He's sharing today a few poems from his first book, Heart to Heart, basically a collection of thoughts and observations written over the course of 2 years. And I want to introduce Jordan Van Hemmer because he has a really interesting story about how he kind of came to his last EP. So I want to give him the floor to kind of introduce himself and explain what he's up to.
Thanks so much, Jess, and thanks for having me tonight, and thanks everyone for being here. So this album that I'm releasing on March 12 is kind of something that I thought was really necessary with the pandemic. I was slated to record an album in summer 2020, starting in January, but I didn't really understand like the form that it would take until around March. I had a bunch of musicians that I really enjoyed playing with, and that was great. And then the pandemic hit, and all of my gigs were gone. All of the things that I did for work were drastically altered. I do have a teaching job that I did retain, but it was very different. And of course, we can't forget the continuation of this seeming war that was waged against communities of color. And so I decided that I wanted to take this particular angle with this record because I thought communities of color, and I think particularly Asian Americans, our voices are either silenced or ignored. And so I wanted to use the album to tell our story and to tell the story of what it meant to me, just to one person, to be Asian American in 2020. So that's kind of where the record's coming from. Can't wait to share it.
Thanks, Jordan. I'm going to keep my questions about particular poems to the end when we open up the floor, but at this time I want to pass the mic to Ricky, who I believe is going to read us The Matriarch.
The Matriarch. My father said he waited for 7 days. He looked up towards the hill to see if she would return. Each day he looked up. Each day he looked down. He began to lose faith. He was 5 years old, a little boy, desperate, face wretched in hunger pains. His younger brother was only 3. He would nurse him with what little food he could find. Moments of delirium mixed with fear, despair, then fear again, would mingle and dance around him. He could hear the moans, the feeling of grim, the silence of hopelessness. If only he could rid the hunger. If only he could avoid his eyes from seeing the pain around him. He looked up, and she was nowhere to be found. He was looking for her, his mother. One day she appeared, her silhouette casting a shadow, her hands holding a bushel of grass. She would boil what vegetation she found and would feed her children, telling them she had already eaten. My father knew she was lying, but he ate quietly, swallowing his tears.
Thank you, Jordan. For all of those who just joined us, again, we're here with Ricky Kim and Jordan Van Emmert. Ricky's taking us through a series of poems that he's hand-selected from his novel, or his first collection of poems, I should say, called Heart to Heart. Ricky is based in LA currently, and most of his work in the book is largely reflective about his experience as an Asian American man growing up in LA, and a lot of themes of love, loss, and reflection. Ricky, do you want to take us through the final poem, The Constant?
The Constant. Each night we die. What we were that day is no longer. What ideas and notions we possessed have already passed. Actions speak louder than words. Silence resounds even deeper. It's a funny thing, this idea that life goes on. We inhale, we exhale, we worry, we laugh. I always say it's important to pinch out, look at things from above, be wary of all factors, of all patterns, of all signs. Forgive and forget, move forward, and most importantly, love yourself. You cannot save others if you do not value your own life. So cherish it, celebrate it, live it, be the constant. Cannot save others. Celebrate it. Live it. Be the constant.
Thank you, Jordan. I don't know about anyone else, but it's really like intensifying this experience and like kind of piercing my soul every time Jordan plays. It's really awesome. So glad that you can kind of accompany Ricky on this journey as we share these poems. One thing that I wanted to request is if Ricky could actually read The Kitchen. It's one of the it's the poem that opens the book, and I think that well, when you guys hear it, I think there's a lot of things that kind of resonate with the Asian American experience.
The kitchen. The kitchen beat me down. It rendered me into a pulp of a man. It reminded me that I was nothing but a tool for its use. It soldered my soul and bruised my ego. Water became violent. Heat became anger. It tossed me into a rage. Never overbear a person when cooking. Never frustrate a person in this task. It will bring out the worst in you. There is no composure in the kitchen. Cook it fast, serve it hot. Be anxious when front of house does not continue the rhythm. Show compassion to the back for holding the ship steady. The kitchen filters out the weak. It shows no tolerance for those without instinct. The kitchen rages on its own with or without you. The kitchen will hurt you. It will cut you. It will burn you. This kitchen is life, and life is the kitchen.
Thank you, Ricky. So those who have just joined us, Ricky kind of took us through a selection of his favorite or his most, I guess just his poignant poems from his first book, Heart to Heart. And I really encourage you guys to pick up a copy if you're interested or if you liked what you heard on stage today. It's really an insightful collection of short stories and poems that I think not only resonate to Asian Americans, but I think just the minority story, anyone that's felt like out of place or just even kind of on an introspective journey to finding and understanding their own identity. So if you are interested in the book, the link is in Ricky's bio. You can always find it on, sorry, one second. You can always find it on blurb.com. But yeah, do check out Ricky's bio, follow him, and he's always kind of doing a lot of storytelling on Clubhouse. And with that, I'm going to open it up to questions. I know I have a bunch of questions myself to kind of lead off the conversation. And as we go, please don't hesitate to raise your hand if you want to just join the conversation or just even hang out on stage, whatever feels comfortable for you. I know that we're going to have some really good conversation here. So Ricky, my first question for you as you were reading these poems is, so I've had the pleasure of knowing Ricky for, I think it's been 2 years now. And what I've noticed is that Ricky really takes care to nurture the female relationships in his life, whether that's friends, whether it's coworkers, or just his family, and just also just creatives that he comes into contact with. I've seen this in such a healthy way, and it's not so much as he doesn't impose himself as this mentor role that you never asked for, which as a woman I definitely respected from the beginning. Ricky is there to be a source of support. He's a natural leader, but he moves in silence. So I just wanted to ask Ricky, I know two of the poems in particular really come from a place of wanting to deeply understand and connect with the female experience, and more so the females in your personal life. So I just wanted to know who kind of shaped your relation or your ideals when it comes to how you speak about women in your book, Heart to Heart.
Yeah, well, thank you, Jess, for those kind words. And yeah, I mean, yeah, it's my sister, actually. Yeah, she's a year and a half older than I, and we were latchkey kids. So when my mom and dad were out, she, at the age of 6, was boiling water on the stove. So she was always there, and she was very strong. Even I remember during junior high, she would literally beat up kids that were picking on me. Literally just just sock them in the face and just put them in their place. And, my sister has always been my hero. And I don't know if I ever shared this with you, Jess, but if I ever have a kid, I would love to have a girl. I would love to have someone that I think basically, in my opinion, that a woman has great power. And I had nothing but respect. And yeah, I guess that's where it came from. Yeah.
Thanks, Ricky. I definitely see that in your work, and it's something that is sort of a constant thread throughout Heart to Heart. I think it's interesting that you were able to develop this sort of empathy for women in general, but also it's just, it's a very clear sentiment that you have in your works, that you kind of explore this relationship and not being afraid to get in touch with the feminine part of you. It's something I appreciated during the work.